Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about, I think, the biggest piece of news that's been going on for the past few days aside from what's going on in Los Angeles, which is the Air India plane crash. Now, I have an article that we're going to talk about, but another thing I also want to talk about is a clip, an old clip from Al Jazeera that popped up wherein people that work at Boeing talk about Boeing, and it is mind-boggling and also kind of terrifying, which is why I made this video in the first place, because I don't know how many people have seen it, but it'll just wait for it. Air India plane crash claims at least 241 lives as one passenger survives. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, and the sole concept of being the only passenger to survive with almost 250 deaths in a plane crash of all things, and I don't know if you guys have seen the footage, I'm not going to show it here, but you see the explosion, you see the flames, you see the fire. Surviving something that would have ended that way is insane. I was thinking about the concept of how much survivor's guilt you might have, but also how invincible to some degree you must feel having survived that. Does that make sense? So it's very much contrasting feelings as far as I can imagine. Obviously, I don't know what the guy is feeling. An Air India plane traveling from India to London crashed within moments of takeoff on Thursday, killing 241 passengers and crew and more people on the ground. The Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, which took off from the city of Ahmedabad in western India, plowed into a residential area, hitting a hospital complex and medical student hostel. One passenger survived the disaster, a British national who was sitting in seat 11A and who later told family he had no idea how he walked away. It is not yet clear what caused the crash, which Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi described as heartbreaking beyond words. Officials warned the death toll could rise in what was quickly described as one of the deadliest aviation disasters in India's history. Air India flight AI-171 departed Patel International Airport at 1:39 local time and was due to touch down at London's Gatwick Airport at 6:25 BST. There were 230 passengers on board, including 169 Indian nationals, 53 Britons, 7 Portuguese citizens, and 1 Canadian and 12 crew members. The local police chief told BBC that 204 bodies had been recovered so far, but it is not known how many of these victims were on the plane or were on the ground. Images from the scene show debris scattered across a large crash zone with parts of the aircraft embedded in buildings. Now, another thing that has come up during this, and I really don't want to put the clips here because it is incredibly saddening. I honestly... they're very difficult to watch, but there are clips of there are these 2 men that are at an airport and they're just about to go on the flight and they seem happy and giddy, and then you know that it ends this way. There's a lot of content like that online. The reason I'm bringing this up is because as much as there's content like that is tragic but quote-unquote wholesome because you see 2 people who care about each other and love each other, there's also content showing the plane kind of looking weird, which I also have to wonder, why was anyone filming the plane in the first place? But I'm not going to go down conspiracy theory route just yet. But anyway, just beware of the types of videos you come across, because on X, you just never know what the fuck you're going to see. Also, it's so tragic when the scale of a tragedy is to the point where you don't even know who's who, in the sense of who was on the ground, who was in the hostel, who was in the hospital. There's no idea of what exactly you're dealing with. So hopefully they figure all of that out. But it genuinely is so bizarre how events are unfolding right now. And I'm saying that because it just seems like there are a lot of big world events in different ways, right? So this is a big world event in an isolated tragedy. Then we have obviously what's going on in LA. Then we have 3 either impending or ongoing wars. Something is off. I feel that something's in the air. I feel like there's tension in the air amidst everything. The extraordinary news that one person had survived the disaster quickly made international headlines as the British national Ramesh, I'm not going to pronounce his first name, I'm going to butcher it, so I'm just going to call him by the last name, Ramesh, was filmed limping towards an ambulance with smoke billowing in the background. 30 seconds after takeoff, there was a loud noise. It all happened so quickly, he told local media from hospital. His cousin, Valji said Mr. Ramesh called his family to say he was fine, but he does not know the whereabouts of his brother, also called Ajay, who was on the plane with him. I didn't know prior to reading this article earlier about his brother because obviously the main headline is that he is the sole survivor that they've found so far. But I can't imagine, like I said before, the contrasting emotions that must come from surviving something like this and knowing that your brother, as of now, most likely didn't, right? Thursday's incident was the first fatal crash involving a 787 Dreamliner, first introduced in 2011. Boeing said in a statement that it, quote-unquote, stands ready to support the investigation, which is being led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. We are in contact with Air India regarding Flight 171 and stand ready to support them. Our thoughts are with the passengers, crew, first responders, and all affected, the Bureau said. U.S. and British investigators will travel to India with the National Transportation Safety Board, saying it will assist Indian authorities. India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation said the aircraft issued a mayday call seconds after takeoff. It lost contact with air traffic control shortly thereafter, crashing just outside the airport's perimeter. The crash site lies within a medical campus with 10 specialized centers. The BBC's Sachin Pivtha describes scenes of chaos with rescue workers retrieving the remains of those who perished. Thick smoke was still billowing from the buildings hours after the crash, and the passengers' passports were strewn around, he reported. Gujarat's additional chief secretary for health confirmed the aircraft struck the students' hostel and staff quarters of the medical college and civil hospital. So the more you hear about the absolute destruction and wreckage that came from this, and like I said, if you're on Twitter or even I think on TV they might have shown it, if you saw just like the explosion and the flames that came from the flight, it's so crazy to think that someone survived. Now granted, apparently the one survivor basically jumped out of the plane before obviously the flames blew up, but the concept of just how much destruction happened on the ground as well is, I think, what makes this even more tragic, because when I first heard about this, when I heard about a plane going down only like a couple of, like I think it's 8 minutes after takeoff that the last signal was heard, I really thought that they were going to crash into nothingness or like, you know, just not buildings. I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, a city or a medical compound, whatever. So I think that's also what makes this 10 times worse. Tata Group, which owns Air India, has said it would give 1 crore rupee, the equivalent of 86,000 British pounds, to the families of each person who was killed in the crash. Prime Minister Modi wrote on X, "The tragedy in Ahmedabad has stunned and saddened us. It is heartbreaking beyond words. In this sad hour, my thoughts are with everybody affected by it." Both Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said they are being kept updated about as the situation develops, while King Charles expressed his deepest sympathies to all those affected by the crash. Starmer confirmed that a UK team had been dispatched to join the investigation, as he urged families and friends of anyone affected to contact the Foreign Office. So, the survival of this one man continues to stun me. I'm sure I've said that multiple times in this video already, but truly, wow. I was saying earlier that hopefully at some point this person will write about their experience and, you know, explain how basically this miraculous thing happened. Anyway, the other reason that I wanted to talk about this story, like I said earlier, is because I came across a video that I think is particularly relevant.
This is a Boeing factory in the US state of South Carolina.
I can't say that this video completely shocked me, mainly because there have been things going on with Boeing for a while. For years now, there have been strange incidents, there have been whistleblowers, there have been a whole series of things, right? But here, specifically people who were working on this exact craft, the 787 Dreamliner, they wouldn't go on this plane. I think they said 10 out of 15 wouldn't go employers skimp on a level of quality control. And when I say quality control, I'm really not just talking about like the parts and, you know, like whatever product you're making, whatever you're working with. I'm talking about quality control at the higher levels, which is who are you employing, right? Because I mean, my late husband used to work as a technician at an aerospace company. Not the same thing, but nonetheless, the training that had to be done for stuff like that was not just la-di-da. Why? Because you're working on things that could end up really affecting people's lives. The same way that we expect doctors to, well, they have years upon years of school, but we expect them to have that schooling, or else what happens? People die, right? So when I hear this, that Boeing seemingly was cutting corners in all types of ways, I'm wondering, what do we also not know? Because it's hard for me to believe that they're just cutting corners on the Dreamliner. And it's also hard for me to believe that this practice was completely nixed. I mean, I'd like to believe that this was a problem they had in the past, because obviously this is not a brand new video, the one I just showed you. But at the same time, I'm having difficulty believing that, because honestly, I think it all comes down to the usual thing, which is a simple reduction of costs. You get workers that aren't as skilled or don't have the correct skills, so then you can pay them less, so you're already saving money there. You're still selling the same product, so you're making money there, but saving it with people that should really not be doing the job, or people that have no training to do the job. And they're also saving money there because training costs money. It's just deeply infuriating to see tragedies like this happen. Now, granted, I don't know exactly what happened with the plane. Maybe it has nothing to do with Boeing, which would be incredibly hard to believe. But something here is amiss. And if you even see the footage of the plane flying when it takes off, it almost looks like it does a weird kind of plateau. And I actually, unfortunately, came across footage that someone was taking inside the plane, which again, X offered to me without me searching for it. So beware of that. There's no gore, but nonetheless, seeing people's last moments is not content I like to see. So regardless, something is amiss, and I really do hope that Boeing does an investigation. But more than anything, I would really, really love for completely external contractors to come and do an investigation. Because here they mentioned a bunch of different like airplane whatever bureaus, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, I'm also wondering, are these bureaus at all funded by the wrong people, the people who don't want answers to come out? I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but obviously Boeing doesn't want a scandal on their hands, and they already have. This isn't a scandal, this is a tragedy, but you know what I mean, a scandal in their business perspective. So I really hope that they don't cover up whatever is found, because this has the potential to kill so many other people if the problem is as widespread as the video that I included implies. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.